England wins Women's Rugby World Cup. Rose Rugby Football historic victory, an inspiring journey. Trophy sparkles. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. The streets of Twickenham were flooded with crimson that autumn evening. Flags of St. George fluttered in the air, car horns blared with joyous rhythm, and chants of "Come on, England!" rolled like thunder across pubs, living rooms, and stadium stands. The rose had finally bloomed. England's women had conquered the world, seizing the Rugby World Cup crown with grit, grace, and glory. It was more than just a victory. It was a story centuries in the making, a culmination of sacrifices, silent struggles, and dreams once doubted. For the young girls holding rugby balls in muddy fields, for the mothers who had once been told, "Rugby isn't for women," and for the nation that dared to believe. This was not only England's triumph, but a universal anthem of empowerment. The road less traveled. Women's rugby in England had always been a battlefield, not just on the pitch, but in the boardrooms, schools, and societal norms that often relegated it to the shadows. Decades earlier, the sport was played in scattered clubs, with players self-funding their kits and travel, juggling careers and family commitments. There was little glamour, little recognition, and yet the passion burned. The Red Roses, as they came to be known, embodied resilience. They wore their bruises as medals and carried an unshakable belief. One day, the world will notice. By the early 2000s, England had begun to rise. They captured a World Cup in 1994, but consistency on the global stage required infrastructure and investment. Slowly, professional contracts trickled in. Girls at grassroots clubs were given pathways. Schools began to encourage rugby for both boys and girls. The seeds were planted, but could they grow into a forest strong enough to withstand the storm of competition from giants like New Zealand's Black Ferns or France's Les Blues? The Dream Team. Fast forward to 2025. The England women's squad stood as a blend of experience and youthful fire. Sarah Hunter's legacy, though retired, her shadow loomed large, her leadership echoing to the new captain, who often quoted Hunter's mantra, "Play for each other, not just for yourself." Marley Packer, the tireless flanker, known for her ferocious tackles and unbreakable spirit. Ellie Kildunn, speed incarnate, a winger who turned defenders into mere shadows. Emily Scarrett, veteran center, tactician, and calm under pressure. Zoe Aldcroft, a lock whose towering presence defined England's set pieces. Every position spoke of balance, raw power and tactical genius, youthful daring and seasoned composure. But above all, it was their unity that turned them from individuals into warriors. The tournament begins. The World Cup's opening match saw England face South Africa. Expectations were heavy. Fans demanded dominance. And dominance they delivered. With relentless scrums and dazzling backline plays, England sent a statement to the world. We are here not just to compete, but to conquer. Match by match, the Red Roses built momentum. Against France, they endured a bruising encounter, the game hanging by a thread, until Kildunn's 75th minute try sealed it. Against Canada, they showcased flair, running riot with offloads that resembled choreographed dances. But always, in the back of their minds, there was New Zealand. The Black Ferns, 5-time champions, stood as the perennial rival. The semi-final war. England's semi-final clash with Australia was less a game and more a test of soul. Rain poured over the stadium, turning the pitch into a battlefield of mud. Australia struck early, exploiting gaps. But England's forwards clawed back, inch by inch, maul by maul. The final whistle blew, 23-20. England had survived by sheer willpower. As players collapsed to the ground, exhausted but exultant, the chants of "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" echoed into the night. The Roses were bound for final. The grand final, England versus New Zealand. The stage was set at Twickenham, the cathedral of rugby. 80,000 voices filled the air, millions watching from screens across continents. The Roses faced the Ferns, a rivalry steeped in history, heartbreak, and hope. The haka reverberated across the stadium. England's players stood shoulder to shoulder, unflinching, eyes blazing. Their response was silence, a unity so powerful it felt deafening. Kickoff. The first 20 minutes were chaos. New Zealand's back sliced through with lightning pace, scoring the opener. England replied with a brutal forward-driven try. The game seesawed, tension mounting with every ruck, every whistle. At halftime, 14-14, nothing separated them. The second half became legend. England's scrums battered the Ferns, their forwards grinding out territory. Then came the moment. A break from midfield. Scarrett spotting space, passing wide. Kildun sprinting, leaping over the try line. The stadium erupted. Still, New Zealand fought back. With 5 minutes left, the score stood at 24-21 in England's favor. The Ferns pressed hard, camped near England's try line. The Roses defended with every ounce of strength. Tackles thundered, lungs burned, time crawled. And then turned over. Packer wrestled the ball, booted it clear. The whistle shrieked. England had won. The aftermath. Tears, cheers, and timelessness. The players fell into each other's arms. Tears mingling with sweat. Flags waved. Fireworks lit the night, and the stadium sang. Marley Packer, drenched in emotion, lifted the trophy high, the golden cup reflecting the lights of 1,000 dreams. Scarrett, in her likely final World Cup, whispered to reporters, "This is for every little girl who was told rugby wasn't for her." Across England, celebrations spilled into streets. In pubs from Manchester, Cornwall, strangers hugged like family. At grassroots clubs, young girls clutched their rugby balls tighter, eyes wide with possibility. A victory beyond sport. England's win was more than a trophy. It shifted culture. Sponsorship surged, media coverage expanded, and young girls signed up for rugby in record numbers. Schools pledged equal facilities. Even critics who once dismissed women's rugby admitted its power. The Red Roses had redefined not only their sport, but also the narrative of what women could achieve on the grandest stages. Epilogue. The rose that bloomed eternal. Years from now, historians would write of this day not just as a sporting triumph, but as a cultural revolution. A day when England's women showed the world that dreams, once nurtured with resilience, bloom into legacies. And somewhere on a muddy field, a young girl tied her boots, picked up her ball, and whispered, "One day, that will be me. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time."